Welcome to SEO Chess, and this one is going to be a little bit of a wordy one because we are going to cover essentially Steinitz and how he influenced opening theory development. So Steinitz studied most of Morphy's games and formulated ideas. One of the early conclusions he came to was that the opening was not an accident where someone suddenly got an advantage. It was a logical result of following specific concepts which worked, and he started utilizing these ideas of Morphy. He actually studied in depth Morphy's games and formulated a few principles. One of those was that an attack can only be successfully carried out when the attacking player has a definite positional superiority. So you just didn't attack because you felt like attacking, and this is so true even up to today, that of course for you to attack you have to have some sort of advantage in the position. He also formulated the principle of economy in defense, which just simply means that you have to defend with as little as possible and use it as effectively as you can, and use your other resources to carry out or some sort of counterplay. He also analyzed positions where chances are almost the same, and the player has to really rely on small advantages. And he studied these in details and came to the conclusion that actually if you accumulated small advantages, you could win the game. At the end of the day, Steinitz was someone who relied on chess to make a living. So he had to be very practical about how he went about playing his games in the cafes. So one of the things he realized is like you didn't have to accept gambits. And also like small, minute differences could make a huge difference. And you suddenly see the rise of openings which are not open games, but much more closed openings like D4 and so on. And Steinitz was actually critical of a number of open games, and he didn't believe in them, and rightly so. He went on to prove sometimes to his, he would lose games trying to demonstrate that these points were not true. And we have him to thank for sort of the birth of modern positional play. And you will see, like the way he plays, on the way he played, that he influenced what we refer to nowadays as closed games. The following closed type position was reached in one of his games, and he was playing against Selman. And in this game, you see Steinitz skillfully exploit his advantage in space in the center, and his opponent somewhat open and weak queen's wing. Okay, so in this position, Steinitz playing white played the move b4. And here, black has to retreat and play the bishop back to e2, at which point Steinitz simply plays e3, supporting the pawn. Black goes f5. By closing the center, black makes white's task easier. As you can see, already Steinitz is accumulating small advantages. First, he pushes the bishop back, and now he takes control of this only open file. Black develops his bishop to b7. Steinitz now improves his bishop to e3. That's why he protected this pawn. He wanted to now put the bishop here without fear that the bishop on e7 would take the pawn with check. So bishop goes to e3, and the queen has to retreat. And now he goes knight to d4. On this square, the knight obviously puts pressure on e6 and has got a lot of influence in the black position. Black is forced to retreat and protect this pawn. And slowly, step by step, Steinitz's position is improving. So he castles. Black plays h5, trying to create some counterplay on the king side. Steinitz looks at his position. The one piece that's not well placed is this knight. So he goes knight to c3. King goes f7. And knight goes to b1. He's already figured that this knight can go to d2, can go to b3, maybe go to c5 or go to a5. A very subtle maneuver you would not expect at the time from players of that time who were so used to attack. White goes g6. Steinitz carries on his plan, goes to d2. And now black decides to improve his knight. Steinitz goes here to b3. And after rook to c8, he completes this journey of the knight and puts it at a critical square, and he obtained an overwhelming advantage and went on to win the game. So you start seeing how the evolving of his understanding of opening play and having studied Pomorph's game influenced not only his play, but his approach to openings and his approach to defense and so on. And with this way, chess theory advanced. I hope this is very instructive, and we will continue covering how chess opening developed.